Shalom. All praises, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Harakakudash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and Shalom. To all the hopeful elect and sincere brothers and faithful brothers that's doing the work of the Lord in sincerity and in truth. Now, this is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 1. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. So the day of the Lord is gonna come like a thief in the night. And how does a thief in the night comes? They come unaware. They don't send you a warning that they come in, like, hey, I'm gonna come in at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when you and your family sleeping and very vulnerable in pajamas and you gotta wake up for work in a few hours. No, they're gonna come unaware. So to the people in the world, that's not looking forward to the day of the Lord, the Lord's gonna come unawares to them as a surprise. And to the ones that gave up on waiting on the Lord, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. Is gonna come unaware on the majority of the people of the earth, even though it's being prophesied to them that the Lord is on his way. Now, for when they shall say peace and safety, or for example, the 2/3 of our people that don't want to repent, our people that this message is pertaining to are the Israelites, which today are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. That's the true children of Israel, not those people that are in the land, committing genocide against the Palestinians. Not the people that rule the earth, and if you say anything against them, then they're gonna be labeled as an anti-SEM, and then you lose opportunities and bread and all that, and you might get locked up because of the new laws that they put in place. So you can't speak out against the powers that be, because the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. The wicked as a nation is a so-called white man, which is Esau, the nation of Edom, and the top tribe of the Edomites is the small hats, or the Ish people. They're the ones that really run everything. They're the true kings of the earth, starting with their elites, right? For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction, that means out of nowhere, unaware, sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So let's go into this. Lord, will this a quick and edifying lesson. This just happened today. Trump announces U.S. and EU reach framework for a trade. That's from CNN. Trump announces EU trade deal with 15% tariffs. For Trump, EU trade deal was badly needed. Below here it says, EU trade deal with Trump helps Europe ditch Russian fuels. So, yeah, let me go into it. Let's try this one, because Trump is going back on his word concerning, the bad deals that he made, and he pretty much made a lot of enemies with concerning these countries, and a lot of them our so-called U.S. allies that's basically turned into enemies, all because of Trump, right? And he's pushing this country farther into what the elites want. You know, he's pushing them farther into the NWO. He meaning Esau, the elites, the so-called white man wants everyone implanted with a RFID CHIP in them, so they can have total control over them, so they can have total control over their records, monitor everything, no privacy, and without that, you won't be able to buy or sell, and you won't be able to go anywhere, you know, and do any business in society. Trump announces EU trade deal with 15% tariffs because things are getting so bad that he has to try to come up with a quick fix, you know, which this isn't gonna really do much, because for them to bring in a cashless society, they have to do away with the cash. They have to crash the economy, because the debt is so much. The debt is in like trillions. The debt clock is in trillions. So they're gonna have to crash the economy some way, somehow. But it all ties into like the sense of America's always gonna bounce back. America is Babylon the Great. America, according to the scriptures, is Babylon the Great, or daughter of Babylon. So the daughter of Babylon, or Babylon the Great, is prophesied to be destroyed, you know, all throughout the scriptures, especially the book of Revelation. And before it's destroyed, prophecies have to take place. A major one is the MOTB, which is a prophecy of them mandating the implementation, and you having to get the CHIP in your hand or in your forehead. A great example of that is the Neuralink right now, that's pushed by Elon Musk, and they're running all sorts of tests, so-called successful tests right now. But the Lord said, if you want to be delivered from the destruction, from nuclear destruction, then don't take the CHIP, don't take the MOTB. It says President Donald Trump and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen announced the U.S. has reached a trade deal with the European Union. Trump said that the deal imposes a 15% tariffs on most European goods to the U.S., including cars. The U.S. president had previously threatened 30% tariffs on goods from the European Union. And with the tariffs, it's a tax, but let's use this as an example. The U.S. put 50% tariffs on China. It's not the Chinese people or the Chinese government or the ones that's trying to sell their goods. They're trying to export their goods off to sell it here. They're not the ones that's gonna have to pay the tariff or the tax. It's the American people that's gonna have to pay it, you know, concerning cars or electronics or clothes or whatever, because everything's made in China. It's just an example. So let's say that, you know, a pair of boots is made in China costs $100, right? And all right, let's just say that China sells it here, or allows it to be sold in the U.S. for, let's say, $150. So they get a $50 profit, a 50 US dollars of profit. If like 50% tariffs is implemented on the goods, the boots, then the US people is gonna have to pay 50% more, right? So 50% of $100 is $50. So instead of China selling it here for 150 and they make the $50, they're gonna make a lot less profit off of it, because that's how tariff works. The 50% tax is gonna be paid by the people that's actually buying the goods. So the country that actually have the tariff on them is gonna make less profit, so that the U.S. people is gonna have to be forced to buy U.S. brand name goods. So that 30% tariff was high. It says, but he watered it down. But this is try to like this trade deal is trying to somewhat boost the U.S. economy, which is sort of bringing an aura or a sense of peace and safety. Oh, things are going back to normal. See, Trump made a new deal with the EU. Trump made a new trade deal with the EU. So things are going back to normal. The EU also agreed to purchase $750 billion worth of U.S. energy and invest an additional $600 billion worth of investments into the U.S. above current levels. So they're trying to balance back out their economy, which is not going to work. It's really not going to work. But if the economy somewhat balances out, then it won't last long, because the economy has to crash. This place has to be turned into a cashless society, in which it already is, because nobody use paper money anymore. The majority of purchases are being bought by credit card or by tap. By a phone. Let's say you want to get a water at the store, you tap. You don't take out $1 or $2 anymore. So this place, the economy has to be crashed either way. Prophecies still have to come to pass. And the money has to be turned into digital money, which is a CBDC stablecoin, that they just introduced, which I'm going to go into that in a lesson, Lord will. CBDC, cryptocurrency, so all that digital money can be placed on the MOTB that they're going to make mandatory. And all your records, your driver's license, your health records, is going to be on that. Is going to be on that device. But it says President Donald Trump announced Sunday that the U.S. reached a trade deal with the European Union following pivotal discussions with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen days before August 1st tariff deadline. Trump said that the deal imposes a 15% tariff on most European goods to the U.S., including cars. Now, let me get this. Explain basic Import and purchase example. A tariff is essentially a tax imposed by a government on imported goods or services. The primary purpose of a tariff is to increase the cost of these foreign produced goods. So that means goods that's coming in from other countries for them to be sold here in America, like China, EU, South Asia, so on and so forth. Japan, making them less competitive compared to the domestically meaning home. Domestic is, dealing towards home. Produce alternatives. So you're in the United States and want to buy a new bicycle. You have two options. A bicycle manufactured in the US, let's say it costs $550, is US dollars. A bicycle manufactured in China and the US company imports it's for sale in the US. The tariffs imposes 25% tariffs on all bicycles imported from China, 25% tariffs on the Chinese imported. So, the U.S. government at the border. So if the Chinese bicycle originally cost $400 to purchase from the manufacturer, the importer now owes an additional $100, 25% of $400 in tariffs. Increased cost, potential price adjustments. Pass the full cost on to you, the consumer. The importer might raise the price of the Chinese bicycle from $400 to $500 to cover the tariff, which is a tax. The tax on the imported goods is 25% of $400 is $100. So the consumer, the people here is gonna have to pay for that, which is a higher, which is higher than the original, because $500 is more than $400 to cover the tariff, or even higher to potentially achieve a similar profit margin as the domestic option. So absorb the costs themselves. Accept a lower profit margin to maintain market share. Buy the US made bicycle for $500, or buy the Chinese made one, which is gonna cost more. That's just a small example. So instead of 30% tariffs, now it's 15. But most likely the tariff or the tax is gonna be paid by the consumers to switch their decision from buying imported or foreign made goods to US made goods, which should be cheaper. It should be cheaper. But the scripture says, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child. So when a woman is going into labor to give birth, and they shall not escape. So the destruction is coming anyways, even though it seemed like this guy Trump is trying to balance out the economy. This country owe too much, US, and there's no way they're gonna be able to pay off this debt, because the debt is gonna be paid off not really by the government but by the American people. In which here comes the money crash, the economic crash, and then there comes a replacement, which is digital money, the MOTB. So under construction. But they have the app. National debt clock is, so it's around this. What is the national debt today of the U.S., of the United States? 36 million billion. Wait. No. Thousand, million, billion, trillion. So 36 trillion 721 billion 698 million 400 well $524,033, and it keeps on shifting up and down, but it very well might be more than this. And it's set up this way because the NWO, that's all the plans of the so-called white man, really, with the elites. And the NWO is for the world. It's not just for Babylon. It's not just for America. It's for the world. So the world is going to have to go into this whole digital system in which they have it set up for the majority of these countries. Even in so-called third world countries, like Jamaica, they already have it set up for digital money. And it's below here, it says that's $107,594 for every single person in America. But Jeremiah 51:8 says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. And this is a prophecy concerning future Babylon, which is America. Babylon goes into the Hebrew word which means confusion. And America is the land of confusion. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so she may be healed. So if it was for Babylon to be healed by something like this, by him trying to quick fix or put a band-aid on an open wound, on a 5-inch open wound, and try to put a band-aid on a 5-inch long 1-inch wide open wound, it's just not gonna work. It don't make no sense. You need a surgery for that wound, right? And the balm is something it's like an ointment that's used to heal, something. Let's say you have a injury or a cut or something, you put balm on it, like ointment to heal it. But it says, howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so she may be healed. So Babylon won't be healed. Because the Lord is bringing down America. He's bringing down, the system ruled by the devil, ruled by Esau, ruled by the so-called white man. And with that, you just have to wait on the Lord. Have faith in Abba Shem Shai and don't give up, no matter what. And that's the end of the lesson. Lord will, this lesson was edifying. All praises, honor, and glory go to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Harakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom.